Topic of today is the 6 key changes that you need to know about the FAFSA form. Very, very, very important, and you'll get to know a little bit more of why it's so important when I get to each of these 6 key changes. But one, thank you for being here, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to come check out this content. I'm Allison Pettin. I am one of the advisors here at Secure Planning Group. And really why we're doing these educational workshops is to inform you about new things that are going on in the financial world. And today is a new thing that's going on in the college planning space. And really it's just to provide you as the client value. And if it's not maybe valuable to you, maybe you know a friend, a family member, a colleague that also might find this information valuable as well, and that we hope you would share it with them. So let's get it started. So the common FAFSA questions that we get are listed below, and always the number one question I get when it comes to college aid and planning for college is, what the heck does FAFSA even mean? So let's take baby steps here. So FAFSA is a free application for federal student aid. So that's the first and foremost, very important point that you should know. So this terminology is constantly thrown around. So why does this form even matter when it comes to college planning? And it matters because to be able to qualify for any federal aid, you need to fill out this form, right? So families must complete the FAFSA in order for a student to have access to any federal, state, and some institutional aid as well. I'm going to jump to the last question because I get this one all the time as it relates to the FAFSA and filling it out. And that's, hey, why should I even fill this form out? Because I make too much money. I'm not going to qualify for any aid. And I always tell people that just fill it out anyway. It's free. It's got free in the name for FAFSA. So even if you think that you might not qualify, taking the time, 30 minutes out of your day to fill out this form to even have a chance or an inkling of getting some sort of aid is worth it. So always suggest to fill it out. And again, there's going to be several factors that go into calculating your EFC, which we'll get to, or this new student aid index. And income is really only one part of the equation that they're using. So again, fill it out. It's free. It's just, 30 minutes of your time. So we always suggest getting it done. Why is this so important? Why are we even having this webinar, and why are we trying to give you this information? And it's really this point right there. This is the first time in 40 years, yes, 40 years, that students are going to see a completely revamped FAFSA application. And I know I get a little bit geeky about this as an advisor, but this is really a pretty big impact to you and your families, and trying to make this process easier. So let's jump right into the 6 things that they're going to be changing here, if I can get my computer to work. So what's the first change? Piece out to so many questions, right? Trying to simplify our lives, simplify this form, which is really exciting. So currently there's 108 questions when you go and you fill out the FAFSA. It's very, very overwhelming for a lot of families when they do it, and takes a lot more time. So what are they doing to try to make it better? They're changing it from 108 questions to 36 questions, which is fantastic. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. And the goal with doing that is to actually make people want to complete it, right? If it takes someone an hour and a half to complete the form, most likely they're probably not going to have the time to do it, versus if they have a half an hour, more likely to do it. So that's the first change. 108 questions to 108 questions to 36 questions. Second change is, if you have already done the FAFSA in the past, you're familiar with the term EFC, expected family contribution, which is the key term that you need to know when you're thinking about college aid and filling out these forms. So what happens now? Currently, your EFC, your expected family contribution, is calculated, and that number is going to is a number resulting from needs-based financial aid. So in reality, it's what the government thinks that you're able to afford towards paying 1 year of college, or what your paying capability is. And 9 times out of 10, almost 10 times out of 10, when people go through the FAFSA process, they calculate their EFC, they are usually appalled by that number. So that's usually why we try to have our clients go through that exercise, because you should have an idea of what the government thinks that you can afford to pay, because it just gives you kind of a gauge of what you could be looking to pay for college. So that's the current situation. You calculate this EFC. What's happening in the future or coming down the pipe? EFC gone. SAI is the new lingo that you need to know. So this SAI is the Student Aid Index, and that's going to be calculated in lieu of this EFC. So what's the whole point of that? One, you should know about the change, EFC to SAI. And then 2, just understand that your SAI can be negative or actually 0. And they're doing this because colleges can more easily determine who qualifies for aid, and there's a little bit less confusion on their end. So what we would suggest as advisors, again, we've calculated EFC in the past, or help you get a gauge of what that is. Also important to now calculate this new SAI index or calculation for you and your family. That's change number 2. Change number 3. This is a pretty big one for a lot of people that we serve, and a lot of people that are in the college planning process that have more than one child. So currently, FAFSA is going to look at your EFC, and they always ask you how many people that you have in your household, how many kids do you have going to college. And they reduce your EFC when you have 2 or more kids in college at one time. On this new format, there will not be any reduction if a family has 2 or more kids in college at the same time. So that's a very big change, or going to be a very big change for a lot of people that they should be aware of. So this could potentially augment your cost, or augment the potential out-of-pocket costs that you're going to be paying for your children to go to school, especially if you have more than one child in college at the same time. So huge if you have more than one kid in school right now. That's number 3. Number 4 is applying to being divorced or separated. So sometimes we get families that are in the process of being, getting separated, getting divorced. They're sending their kids to college, overwhelming process, right? I'm trying to complicate it even more, or hopefully not. But currently, FAFSA identifies the custodial parent as the one that the student lives with the majority of the time, right? So if there's 365 days, if you live with one parent a majority of those 365 days, that's the custodial parent, despite what the legal agreement says. The new format is that the parent is going to need to complete the FAFSA. The parent that will need to complete the FAFSA will change from who the student lives with to the parent that provides the most financial support for the student. So let me repeat that again, because I think that that's a really, really big change. So again, new rules. The parent that will need to complete the FAFSA will change from who the student lives with a majority of the time to the parent that provides the most financial support for the student. If there's an equal support, then it is expected that the parent with the larger income is responsible to complete that FAFSA form. Again, if this is something that relates to you and your family situation and preparing for college, please come and ask us any questions that you have if this relates to your situation, or if this relates to someone that you know going through divorce or separation, because this is a really, really big change that could impact these particular families. So what's the impact? It could take away a financial aid advantage for some divorce households. Again, if you know somebody divorced, separated, please let them know of this change, for them this information. Change number 5, to appeal or not appeal. So currently FAFSA goes on, this confuses the heck out of people all the time, goes on prior year income. Again, currently FAFSA goes on prior year income to determine financial need. What's the new format? Financial administrators can use their professional judgment during a qualifying emergency factor to determine the student aid eligibility. So what does that actually mean? That means that if you have a hardship, like you lose a loved one that was helping to pay for college, right? If I lost a parent that was helping to pay for my college tuition costs, then I can go to those financial administrators and say, hey, my family member passed away that was helping to support me going to this particular university or this college, and they can reassess or appeal what my aid is. So again, that's something that is really, really important if you do have a change to, disability. Again, disability or death in the family that's going to impact your family's ability to be able to pay for you to go to that particular college or university. On to the last one, change number 6. Hooray to no consequences. We don't want any consequences to our ability to qualify for aid, right? So currently families are supposed to report any money or received or paid from others on behalf of the FAFSA. So what does that mean? That means you're supposed to report any money that you might receive from grandparents, other relatives, right? My great Aunt Susan or my grandpappy. You're supposed to report any of those monies that are received or paid from those grandparents, family, relatives, all that good stuff. You're supposed to report that because that is untaxed income, and that increases the total income or your EFC. So that's how it is currently. This new format is that contributions of money received or paid from others will not face any consequences. So again, hooray for no consequences. This is exciting. Again, as excited as we get in the financial planning world, because this means that the untaxed income is no longer going to be considered as an impact to that EFC or SAI calculation. So hooray, no consequences. The impact is that the outside financial support is not going to jeopardize the student's chances to get need-based aid. So that was all 6. What does this all mean? What's the timeline? Really, really important part as it relates to these top 6 key things that you need to be thinking about. So the FAFSA typically opens up on the 1st of October. So October 1st of every year. For the 2024-2025 academic year, it's going to open December 2023. So again, that's a change that you should be aware of because it's not going to be like every other year. So December of this year instead of October. The question as a follow-up to that we usually get as advisors is, when should I apply? If they give me this December timeline, and I usually tell people it's, get in line, right? If there's a bucket of money and there's applications coming in, you want to make sure that you're first in line to be able to get the money that's available to you. So try to be first in line, try to get this done as soon as possible. Try not to wait. If you have all your financial ducks in a row, all of your financial information ready, this will not be too much of a pain. But I always do say, try to be first in line and just get this done. So December 2023. Again, we always want to clarify, these are new things. So we will continually pass along information to you as it's made aware to us. So if we get new information on the FAFSA, the guidelines, all of this that we reviewed today, we will be sure to pass it along to you as well. We'll also put it on our website because we want to provide value to you as a client and provide value to your family members, colleagues, friends, anybody that you think that would find this information valuable. So we want to thank you for coming out today. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Please be aware we are going to put this information on our website, so you can go back, review these 6 key changes, and please feel free to forward this information to anybody that you think would find it useful. Thanks again for coming out today. Allison Patton with Secure Planning Group. And Neil, do you want to say any few parting words while we look at how beautiful the team is here?
No, that was a great presentation. That's really helpful for someone who just had their daughter go through this for 4 straight years. The FAFSA form is really important, and it was something on our calendar every single year. So this was valuable information. So, and just one other thing, we do have a Medicare seminar coming up in October. So please look for those invites, and you're welcome to join us to learn all about Medicare.
Yes, and if you have any questions on anything that we just covered today, please feel free to reach out to your respective SPG advisor. We'll make sure we get those questions or concerns clarified for you. Thanks again.